Hey, Float Magic fans, it's Shawnee here, coming to you from the Salt Cave. I have Ashlynn joining us today.
Hello.
Ashlynn is one of our lead wellness facilitators. She has been with me since day one. So I thought it'd be great to get her on the podcast so we can kind of explore her experience with Float Magic and all the reasons why she's a wonderful addition to our team. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I don't like to call it day one. I like to call it day negative 20.
Right.
Just because I was one of the people involved to help build this place. So we built furniture, helped with some construction things, and just really helped just start this place from the ground up. So being here and watching it grow has just been really rewarding. Just to see services grow, just our client base grow, and just being super involved in the community.
Yeah. And Ashlynn's been such a great addition because she has some great skill sets in place. I know her previous work lent to a lot of creative design in the social media world and advertising extensions. And so adding her on, and we have a huge art component here in our center, which I always had hoped for before I ever hired Ashlynn. Was hoping that we could incorporate a lot of art into our center, and she was the perfect addition for helping us with all that. So let's kind of talk through some of the ways we've added art into our center.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, I contributed some of my pieces. You'll see some of my photos and pottery pieces kind of throughout the center. But we also have a lot of other local artists too. A lot of paintings, a lot of photography, just a lot of really cool people that have been in our space, and a lot of their creativity has been influenced by a lot of our services too, because I think they do really provide a great space to think through the creative process. So.
Absolutely. And it was really great to bounce a lot of those ideas off of Ashlynn in how to help our creatives in our community come in and truly utilize what we have. A lot of our Zen Garden space we're super excited for, hoping to see a lot more of that display of the talent that we have rampant in the Magic Valley. So in fact, as we speak in here right now, there's a whole new mural going up.
Yes, that's very exciting.
So kind of hard to see the other murals go. Those were really fun to watch, and those had a good long span of a few years, and so a little over 2. So anyway, so we're excited to see that expansion. So but why don't you kind of talk about like what were some of your first feelings when you came on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was looking for a job and found this position, I was in very desperate need. I just needed to find a job quickly, and somehow, some way, it just kind of popped up, and I was like, I have no idea what this is, but we're gonna go for it. And reading job descriptions and things, I was like, this is really cool. Like, I have never heard of anything like Float Magic before, so I said, why not? Let's just jump on that train. So I did, and I'm really glad I did. I'm really glad I'm here today. But like I said, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. Well, and you, like all of our employees, nobody had tried our services. Nobody had really even heard of our services. What I found so fascinating about putting an application out there is I had people that were so excited to take part, Ashlynn being one of them, of course. So excited about something they knew nothing about, which made me excited because I thought, hey, if that's the case in these applicants, and we had already seen a lot of traffic with some founding members and things of that nature. But it was a really good motivator for me and validation almost that what I was doing is definitely going to have an interest with people.
For sure.
So why don't you talk about some of your first intros to our therapies and your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of my first experiences, I mean, the first service I ever tried was the pod. We didn't have the open or the cabin float running yet. So if I wanted to try a float, I had to try the pod. And sometimes the lid can be a little intimidating, but it's well worth it. And I had zero expectations. I've never done a float before, and I got done and I said, holy cow. It was a journey. Just being able to just sit still for an amount of time and do absolutely nothing is so rewarding. And I never thought possible. Like in society, I feel like we're always told to just keep going. Like we always have to be productive. We always have to have something going on. But I feel like with the float, it just reiterated the fact that there is reward in being still. And so that was probably honestly one of the coolest experiences was trying out the float.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Yeah, and you've become quite the floater. You do 90 minutes often.
I do.
Yeah. And how do you feel like that's helped you in your creative process?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is that being still element. So if you ever have like artist block or whatever it may be, it just provides opportunity to process. Just kind of organize your thoughts and really think it through. And it's helped me in more ways than just art. I mean, it's a really good tool for me for school and studying and things like that too, and stress and anxiety, all the good stuff. But yeah, it's been a really, really helpful tool for the creative process.
Yeah. I have to be creative too in my role. Not that I'm an artist, or I do like to write, but it definitely has provided that for me as well. Just that when you feel like you're almost overwhelmed with information, being able to just get rid of it all and get rid of all stimulation really makes that information that your mind wants to create or your mind wants to focus on, that's what comes to the surface.
Absolutely. And I feel like they're more often than not, when I come out of that flow, I'm just like, I don't have a care in the world. Like, I feel like a new person. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So because you've been here from the beginning, how do you see our transition? What excites you most about where we've been and where we're going?
Yeah, I mean, I love how we've added new services that kind of incorporate a lot of other people, making it more accessible. And sometimes it's a lot. I mean, on the managing and kind of running services side of things, sometimes it's a lot because we're constantly adding, but I feel like there's a good variety for a variety of different people with different ailments. Like, I feel like we're pretty inclusive, which I really like.
Yeah, and having those extra choices for people who may have been intimidated by float, or it's too hot to get in the saunas, or although saunas have been so popular.
They have been.
Yeah. And even they want it hotter and hotter all the time. That's kind of fun too. We started off with the IR being super popular, and now traditional is just booming. So awesome. Do you have any stories that you want to share?
Like personal stories?
You could do a personal or your favorite client story without, of course, saying names.
Of course, yeah. The one that I thought of kind of stands out. It was kind of my first wow moment. I had a client that came in, and when people come into our center, you don't know what they're going through. And he came in and did a flow. Just seemed like, just gonna try it out, see how it goes. And he got done, and he just really opened up to me. He had a family member that passed away, and he was trying to decide if he wanted to go to the funeral or not. And he needed to speak, and the whole day was just like, I don't think I want to go. It's just, I can't handle it. And then he did a float, and he got out and told me, he's like, I know exactly what I'm gonna say. I feel like I can do this, and today's gonna be okay. And so for me, that kind of just reiterated the fact that it is just so important to just stop and think about what's going on in your life, and you really don't know what people are going through. So just welcoming everyone with open arms and just helping them through that process. So.
Yeah. That's a wonderful story. I think that's the first time I've heard that story, actually. So I'm glad to have learned of that. Part of that element of being so vulnerable in this space, you guys as employees have created that atmosphere. How do you feel? What do you think was the most important element in your introduction to this to create that space?
Yeah, I think setting boundaries is important because my job is not to solve your problems. It's to create a space where you can help yourself. And so just trying to differentiate between the two is really, really important. But also being non-judgmental. Like, you don't know, again, where people are coming from, what their stance is on different things and how their life is gone. So just being open to everyone, just giving suggestions, but not getting too personal.
Right. Not digging too deep, but just allowing them to speak.
Of course.
About what they need. Yeah. Yeah. Because the float is many of our services do bring aha moments to people. And sometimes they need to process them right then and there. And so that has been a challenge to keep that safe space, but also keeping your personal boundaries in place. We talk a lot about that, don't we, in meetings? And we speak a lot about how important it is to show up for our people, but not have too much of that energy drained from us, so we can continue to do what we do here. So awesome. Do you have a personal story that you'd...
Ooh, there's a few. I guess the first one that comes to mind would be with the float. It's kind of a funny story. I decided I wanted to do a float. I was kind of going through some personal things, and I said, don't set a timer for me. I'm just going to see how long I'm in there for. And assuming that someone would turn the lights on if it was past 2 hours didn't happen. So I think I floated for, I think I timed it was like 3 hours and 20 minutes, which I don't recommend anyone do. You're kind of tired for like 4 days afterwards, but it was a really cool experience. Just trying to find answers for the choices that I needed to make were really clear to me afterwards. And it's so hard when you get so stressed and you're like, I need to do this, this, and this, and this before I can function, and that's not true. Just gotta take a second.
Yeah.
And just make time
to prioritize and let those baby steps be very apparent. Yeah. Nope. There are people who will float 3, 4, 5 hours, but like you had tested, I mean, there's a lot of cellular exchange that's happening when you float. And so you can count on your body being completely relaxed after that amount of time in a floating. So yeah, it takes a little bit of bounce back after that. For sure. But I think it's awesome that you accidentally got into that realm.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because when you float, I mean, some people fall asleep, but I know for a fact I wasn't asleep. You're kind of in that weird in-between state of falling asleep and not.
So I mean, they talked a lot about that at Float Conference this last year, how they used to always believe we were in theta state, which is kind of that daydream state. But what they're realizing, there's a really long delta wave state. Our brains, I mean, you can be in delta. In fact, there's probably not discovered yet certain dream states.
Sure.
They just haven't been quantified yet. And the dream state that you can be in when you're floating is just that. You're like right on the cusp of being awake, but still being in dreamland. I feel like I do it in the Novathor too. Like the Novathor will just get me in that state of like, where am I? So I've only been in here 12 minutes, but I am someplace else for sure. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating what no stimulation does to our brain in that condition. And I would agree with you. I don't think I've ever fallen asleep in a float tank. I know some people have. We've had evidence of snoring.
True. That's true.
So it is a possibility, and you're completely safe if you do. However, there's still a lot of research to be done on those sleep wave states. So kind of and brain wave states. So pretty fascinating. Did you say you had a couple? Did you want to share another one?
Yeah, I can. It's actually kind of switching gears a little bit, but to the cold plunge. That is something that I thought I would never like. I don't like being cold. But I just decided to try something new. I was like, well, I have to kind of sell this, so let's try it out. And it's been helping in more ways than I can ever imagine. I have a lot of inflammation build up, and I am just sore all the time. Like, it's almost debilitating, and as soon as I get in and get out, like, my joints, my muscles are just free. Like, I feel like I could maybe run a marathon. Probably not, but but yeah, I feel so good, and it's been really helpful, like, day to day. And I don't need to do it every day. I know there are a lot of benefits to doing it every day, but for me, doing it once a week is great.
Yeah.
So.
And there is, because of so much study that's going out about it, because it is such a popular therapy, once a week and cold showers is an awesome combination. 3 times a week can be super, super beneficial. It is, if you can do it daily too, was awesome. But if you can't do it daily, you're still getting major benefits from getting in here once a week or twice a week. So I'm kind of the same camp. Like, I really enjoy cold plunge and building it into what part of the day, because really it should be done in the earlier part of the day.
Yes.
And so because doing it at night isn't always the greatest idea for good sleep.
You feel more awake, and you have that adrenaline rush, I feel like, when you're done. So doing it in the morning, I would agree, is better.
It's a better start to the day. So, but it's been fascinating to see how popular that therapy is getting. So it's awesome. And Ashlynn's kind of our cold plunge expert. Like, she's in there, she's solving problems with our cold plunge all the time, and being able to speak to people. You and Caleb just really embrace that therapy. So I think it's awesome. And what about is there any other therapies that have really spoke to you?
Yeah, I feel like recently I've been doing the infrared sauna quite a bit. I don't like being hot either. I guess I just like being comfortable. But I've tried the traditional, and I can't stay in there for very long. So I was like, well, I'll try the infrared because it is lower temperature. And I love it. It's awesome. I never thought I would like it, but it's kind of like a warm blanket feeling. It's very comfortable, and you stay warm for so long afterwards.
Yeah.
Which I love, because the winter is not fun. So.
Right. Yeah, especially what are we on? 7th winter? I'm not sure. Something like that. So, which is great. I know and with your inflammation that you're trying to treat.
Amazing.
That's very, very cool. So, all right. So, well, where do you hope to see Float Magic go?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of exciting to think about, all the possibilities of where we could go and what we could do. I mean, we've had a lot of people talk about, like, hey, bring Float Magic to Idaho Falls or just wherever it may be. And I think it's definitely a possibility. It would be really awesome. I could always say I worked at the original.
I was at the OG.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'd be really exciting to kind of go to other places and bring Float Magic to them. I don't really know what other services we could add. I know there's kind of a lot out there that are kind of starting to build up a little bit, but it would be... It's always good to add things.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that's the fun part of the building process, is understanding which therapies really complement what we're doing. And that's why I love collaborating with other businesses too. There's so many wellness opportunities. We're seeing a lot of wellness pop up in our community, which is super exciting. Being one of the first wellness centers is really great to watch all these others really latch onto the things to help people promote their wellness and avoid disease altogether, like prevent it before it even happens.
Absolutely.
But my vision for this place has always been to see it in as many communities as possible. And when I was handpicking my team, it was those people that were going to help me get me there. And there's a lot of the skill sets you bring to the table that I know other people can build from. I can leave the center and it's in the best of hands. I don't have to worry about it at all. It's such a comfort to me to have these employees who have the same passion and the same respect and want to deliver the very same benefit and experience that I wanted to create. So I don't even have to be here. My clients absolutely love it here, and it's not me facilitating, it's all of you. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so rewarding, you know, to see people that come in, they're just in need, they're in need of help, they're in pain, whatever it may be, and just to see them grow and evolve and just become like a better version of themselves, which is awesome.
Yeah, the transformation is pretty impressive to watch. So, Ashlynn, thanks for being here with us today. Really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences and your personal stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it helps our clients tie into the purpose and the why. And another way you can tie into our podcast is by following our podcast. We're on all the major places you can find podcasts: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And you can tune in, tell your friends. We want to make sure that everybody is tapped in so they can learn about all the ways that we stay salty around here. So remember, it's perfectly okay to stay salty.